Good afternoon. Thank you, Cassie. Well, that will be a hard act to follow. All right, good afternoon. Southeast Asia, I think just as a starting point, I'd just like to mention that my name is Kim, based in Singapore. We have traditionally and continues to be looking after Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia as our core Southeast Asian markets. But having said that, in the last financial year, as well as the last 12 to 18 months, a fair bit of effort has been put into our diversification strategy, and part of it is to grow and invest in the newer markets, and that comes with special thanks to the BAC team with all the new flights that come on board, and that's keeping us a little bit busier. Yeah. I will just do quickly in terms of market performance. It's overall a bit mixed for markets like Singapore and the Philippines. In the last calendar year, IBS year ending September, it has actually grown quite strongly, double digit. Now, in other markets such as Malaysia, it has been a challenging couple of years with Malaysia, as many of you are aware, with currency, with visa, with destination competition, and most of all, the lack of direct flights following AirAsia X and Malaysia Airlines withdrawal. But the good news is we were really, really excited that on 30th November last year, Malaysian Airlines is back and they are flying 5 times a week. And by all accounts, the flights are doing reasonably well, and they have a good mix of outbound Australians and inbound from Malaysia and India. So we are very excited about that. Malaysia currency as well is getting to a pre-COVID high. In the last 7 years since 2018, the ringgit, the Malaysian ringgit, which has been very weak, has turned the corners. And it is, in fact, as I mentioned to a few of you, that in January this year, the ringgit was the best performing currency in January for Southeast Asia. So I hope and think that Malaysia will get better in the next 12 months, 18 months ahead, yeah? Indonesia has been a bit of a challenge as well for us with competition, but I like to believe that, and with this I will also, announce that we have got a new person, a new business development manager who is very experienced. Her name is Vera Damadi, who has just joined the team, the Southeast Asian team. However, she will be based in Jakarta, and Vera comes with a wealth of industry and trade experience. We're excited to have her to help the team in Southeast Asia, but because she's based in Jakarta, naturally, she will have her eyes on Indonesia as well and the Philippines. Yep. So that is a quick update. In terms of market conditions, that's the forecast for 6 of the Southeast Asian markets that we look after. Vietnam, you heard, TAA has now gotten a new business development manager based in Singapore. She is a Vietnamese student in Singapore and now a Singaporean, but she knows the market very well, and we will certainly be leveraging on Junie to work on the Vietnam market. And in terms of the ASEAN forecast for GDP, Vietnam 7.6% this year, Indonesia 5%, you look at Philippines 5.3%, and then Malaysia 4.4%, Singapore 3%, but that is off a strong growth this year, or rather last year, 2025, of 4.8%. Thailand slightly slower at 1.7%, but overall the Southeast Asian economy, despite the concerns with the trade tariff, etc., they continue to do fairly well, and in line with that as well, the forecast for outbound in terms of travel sentiments is positive. Now, there is strong growth in outbound, say for example from Vietnam, from Philippines and Indonesia. The outbound forecast is 6 to 9% growth this year. So overall, the outbound outlook is great. Now, the challenge for us is really in terms of destination competition as a result of value. I think many of my colleagues mentioned consumers are looking for value when they go on holidays. So destinations like China and Japan are seen to be offering value, seen to be offering some different cultural experience. And of course, it's easier to get visa across China. I mean, you don't even need to get visa in China and Japan. So that forms part of the challenge for us, really, for Australia as a whole. And of course, Europe remains an aspirational destination. So that's just a brief overview of the market conditions as it is. In terms of consumer insights and travel trends, first off is the growth and increase in secondary city travel. Now, and that partly has to do with airlines, flying to secondary cities as well. No longer, for example, consumers just going to Tokyo, Osaka, or Shanghai, Beijing. They are going beyond these main gateways to be discovering, secondary cities. Take China, for example, because China has, in fact, across quite a lot of Southeast Asian market, even overtaken Japan. In the last few years, you hear about Japan, just as it is in Australia now, it's Japan. But now, in some of the markets, it's China. Now, part of it is because of the increase in secondary gateway cities, and that's where consumers are looking. Say, for example, Singaporeans or Malaysian, Indonesians. No longer are they just looking at Shanghai and Beijing. They are looking at Guizhou, Xinjiang, some of these cities are very new to you guys. But that bodes well for us as well, that, regional Queensland has a chance as consumers are familiar with, the established Australian gateways. They will want to venture and explore other parts of Australia, including regional Queensland, of course. Road trips, self-drive, family groups, all that offers potential. Now, in terms of another trend, of course, is FIT travel. I know many of you are aware in the old days, where group travel dominates the market. And when it comes to peak season, that's where we see a lot of group bookings. Group bookings remain, however, there is a lot of the trend towards FIT travel, and that's why you are also seeing that this is partly driven by airlines having their own special fares, booking on the direct sites with very attractive airfares that drive FIT booking. And of course, it is also facilitated with, the ubiquitous presence of OTAs, Trip.com, Traveloka, Klook, etc. So the trend towards FIT bookings direct on an airline website or OTAs continues to strengthen, but I will share later on that there is still a role for our key players, key traditional players as well. But that is the overall general trend. Travel planning, as I'm sure we all do, the first thing we go is go to ChatGPT, etc., and find out, plan an itinerary for me, where to stay, etc. So that continues the trend globally, not just in Southeast Asia, but as well in Southeast Asia and in all of Asia, social media continues to play a very critical role. And that is why you find that a lot of myself, our fellow colleagues as well, we do a lot of content creation, we do a lot of KOL trips. They are labor intensive, but they are necessary because that's where the eyeballs are. And you find that, doesn't matter if we partner with airlines, we partner with OTAs, we always, wherever possible, subject to budget, obviously, include, a social content, include KOL trips wherever possible. Yeah, and travel to experience innovation, as I mentioned with other market briefings, is that increasingly, the Gen Z, who are the ones who are traveling a lot more, the millennials, they travel to experience an innovation. They travel to experience tomorrow, today, if that makes sense. So places like Shenzhen, which is the tech hub of China or Asia, they like to see, drone deliveries, driverless car, etc., etc. They just want to have an experience payment system, the trains and all that. So they are traveling to experience that sort of technology experience as well. Aviation landscape. We have got, on a very positive note, a lot of flight increase compared to what it was previously, where we lost some flights. Singapore Airlines from June last year, from 24 flights a week to 28 flights a week. That means 4 times daily. That helps us a lot where, as you know, it's a network carrier, but it also allows us to get more of our consumers on board. Singapore Air has been very active and aggressive as well with the Singapore Airline travel fair, with the fares promotion as well. Qantas, from 6 to 7 to 8, 9, and then now, depending on peak season, they have up to 10 a week. And that helps. And Qantas is trade-friendly as well for group bookings, etc. So that bodes well for us from Singapore market. Now, in terms of the other markets, Malaysian Airlines, we all know, is the best news, 5 times a week, and we are really excited. It makes a lot it makes a lot of difference for us for this market moving forward. But of course, we are bearing in mind competition as well from especially China. Now, Qantas Manila has been amazing. They started with 4 flights, now there are 5 flights. Their timing wasn't the best in the world, but they have been able to tweak the timing to become a lot more friendly for outbound, and you'll find that that is reflected in the numbers and in the arrivals from the Philippines. Along with daily on Philippine Airlines, we are actually seeing a double-digit growth from the Philippines to Queensland. Jetstar, that is the direct flights that we have between Bangkok and Brisbane. We have significant aid funding in there, and that has allowed us to do some impactful campaigns in Thailand, which we will share later on. Vietjet is, of course, increased from 4 to 5 times a week, and we do also have aid funding in Vietnam as an emerging market to invest in the market. We do have a lot of competition in Vietnam. Sydney and Melbourne are what people know, so we have a long way to go in terms of growing awareness, but the aid funding with Vietjet allow us to at least put Brisbane on the map. Yeah. Now, these are our distribution and airline partners, as we mentioned, Singapore Airlines, Malaysian Airlines, Qantas, Vietjet, Philippine Airlines, and Jetstar. And these are a couple of the KDPs that we work with in each of the markets. Now, we do not have the resource nor the ability to work with many travel agents, but these are, for each market, we just have a few, 3 to 4, and we try to work with them to ensure that they are trained, to work with their inbound operators to ensure that they know the new things that is happening in Queensland and to work out new packages with them. Of course, with the OTAs, in the past 1 year, we have worked with KKday, especially in the area of Queensland road trips. We have Klook, of course, on a global partnership, and Klook, as you know, are fairly strong in Southeast Asia. Trip.com is very much emerging as a very strong OTA across Southeast Asia as well. Skyscanner, we've done certain campaign with Skyscanner, and of course Traveloka as well. Traveloka is a big OTA based in Jakarta, but they have a fairly strong presence in Indonesia, of course, and Vietnam, and across different parts of Southeast Asia as well. So these are our key partners. I will not have a chance to go through that, but that is just to show you some of our airline partnerships, very much with all the main airlines, as well as KDPs and OTAs. Here, I'll just show you a couple of our campaigns. Malaysia Airlines, we are really excited. You can see on the screen, the moving screen. We have had the opportunity through the aid funding to buy into 13 city center locations billboard with Malaysia Airlines for a short burst, but is still very much digital-driven, social-driven. We do KOL trips with them as well. So Malaysia Airlines is a very important partner, and we have done phase 1, and now we are actually in the midst of finalizing our partnership with Malaysia Airlines for phase 2. So this is an example of what we are doing with Malaysia Airlines. So Singapore Airlines obviously is one of our major airline partner. They do give competitive airfare during certain campaign periods. So this is an example of what we've done with them and the ads that we did. And the Singapore Airlines travel fair, over 3 days, they did get and secure a fair bit of bookings into Brisbane. And in fact, I pulled out a certain banner, I'm not sure if you can see. They highlight 8 cities, and in the 8 cities, Brisbane is actually featured in the 8 cities, and we were just over the moon, for lack of a better word, that they are, highlighting Brisbane for that campaign. Okay, I'm not sure what happened there, but this is our Singapore Airlines campaign with Thailand. Singapore Airlines is keen to, up their presence in certain markets, and they have requested for Thailand as well, interestingly, yeah. And Philippines. Qantas has been a great partner in the Philippines in terms of resource. We had the use of their media agency, OMD, to plan the media plans for us. But we work with them using a celeb called Rika, and we bought the rights to use it in our campaign. And Qantas is extremely happy with that, because they found that, the traction, the cut-through, and the bookings that it was generated using a known face really helps. But of course, that is budget permitting, yeah? And we are going into the second phase with Qantas in a couple of weeks' time, again using a known personality. And in fact, Qantas, during their sales conference, they use this example for their own international sales conference to show how using, a social celebrity, KOL, enable them to achieve better cut-through. Yeah. That is Philippine Airlines. They are daily now, and we do work with them, not the easiest, in that sense, but they do come up with nice creative and work with us on KOL trips as well, yeah. This is Jetstar, Thailand. We did a launch of the campaign with Jetstar. I think Evan flew up to Bangkok for the launch. We have got holiday tours in market, who has been very supportive with the trade seminar. And what you are seeing there, some of you who might be familiar with Bangkok, you'll find that because of A funding, we've been able to buy some prime outdoor location currently running in Bangkok, in certain prime locations like M District, Central Park Dusit, and MBK, Mabungkong. So these are very prominent ads, and we use a very popular travel influencer called Go and Go. Not the easiest to work with, because he thinks that he's a celeb, or well, maybe he's a celeb, but it enabled us to achieve some cut-through. Poor Stella, when she was hosting them, she wasn't sure who was the client. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, but, if it achieved certain objective, that's wonderful. Yeah. Vietnam, again, we did some activation with Vietjet. Coming up soon, we are with Vietjet. I mean, we need to be patient with them. They are helpful, but they have processes and approvals to go through. Now, we did some outdoor with Vietjet. Coming up soon, we are doing a fairly big KOL trip with them, and I will give credit where credit is due. They sponsored 7 business class tickets. Yeah, amazing. To me, I think that is very generous of them. So, a good partner when we call for help or support, they have been supportive. I mean, I was just blown away that they actually gave us 7 business class tickets. Yeah. And some other campaigns that we've done with Traveloka in Vietnam as well. I know I am running out of time, I notice. Now, these are some of our KDPs, and that's where I want to mention that, yes, we will work with OTAs, with the conversion. Yes, we will work with OTA, with KOL, but I like to also believe that the trade play a very important role. Chan Brothers is a household name. EU Holiday is a household name. And they are trying to create new packages, giving, their loyal clients reasons to come back to, Queensland or Australia or elsewhere, and they make the effort and they invest the time. Say, for example, it's just a question of leveraging on their strength. Say, for example, Chan Brothers work very closely with media partners, right? So we do work with them to leverage on their connection with the radio stations to do, outdoor broadcasts with them. So it's a matter of finding their strength and then working with them to target their loyal customers. So I would not, walk away from working with our traditional partners. They are important. They come up with self-drive itinerary, seasonal special, floral events, etc. And they work with us for Gold Coast Marathon as well. Yeah. Interestingly, sports and marathon are very popular. We have got Gold Coast Marathon. Singapore is on track to be the highest registration internationally. OTAs, I think I have mentioned enough. Opportunities, this is the last slide, and I know I run out of time. Now, partnering OTAs remain important, and we reiterate that they are important. Trip.com, Traveloka, Klook, seasonal banners, and all. Importantly, I have emphasized working with trade to come up with unique experiences, curate, itineraries for private family groups. They still are relevant. Yeah, there are clients who doesn't just want to find the cheapest offer, they want service. So that's where they come and play a role. Now, in line with that, there's only one thing that I want to highlight. Australian Marketplace, 22nd to 24th July. We do need you to join us. We do need your support. We are getting in more of the buyers from the emerging markets as well. For last Marketplace, I believe some of the other states have more sellers than us. So, we would strongly like to encourage more of our sellers to come for Australian Marketplace. Last but not least, incentive market is very important and very much the lower hanging fruit across for Southeast Asia, something to bear in mind. And with that, I will pass over to Charlie